Hey everyone, it's the Y Guy, back again with another video, and today we are going to be talking about my full story recap for the second issue of the Batman Fortnite comics. So make sure you subscribe, leave a like, and turn on the notification bell for daily content. But before we get into it, if you want the first issue of the comics, which I do actually have a review on, probably links down in the description, go and enter into my giveaway and Sunday. And now let's get straight into this. So we're just gonna straight up start off with where the comic starts. The comic starts with Batman at Weeping Wood looking at the messages on his arms and batarangs. While reading them, Ruckus attacks him. After he defeats him, he goes to his base and reads the message, "The cow's your friend." Once finding out about his GPS, he runs to find Catwoman. He finds Catwoman in a fight with 6 other Fortnite characters. He thinks Meowscles could be the cat, but then decides it's Catwoman. Weirdly enough, these are the only 2 panels that show the Fortnite HUD. Now there is actually a picture. I find that super weird, and of course this could just be a coincidence or something that the artist just looked over. I don't think that is a coincidence, because these are the only 2 characters the only 2 panels that actually have a HUD. So now let's continue. Batman starts to fight with Catwoman, but she attacks him. Once Batman realizes it's been about 20 minutes, he writes on a batarang, "The bat is your friend." After she takes it, the first loop ends. So yeah, it's honestly, I really do like the first loop, and it really does introduce a lot to the story, that obviously Batman has now been in the loop for a very long time. So now let's continue. Loop 2 begins with Batman leaving his base. Once Catwoman throws a batarang at him from the last loop, they go to Sharky Shell, they ram into the store together, and loop 2 ends. I'm not joking, that is literally the entirety of loop 2. It's a very boring one, and honestly I feel like it could have been completely left out of the story. So now let's go on and continue with loop 3. Loop 3 begins with Catwoman and Batman swimming in a river. Once getting out of the river, Batman starts to wonder why they remember each other. Before Batman finishes his thought, Catwoman saves him from a shot and dies. Batman goes into an uncontrollable rage, even though that she knows she'll be back in the next loop. Batman, before the loop ends, figures out that feelings carry over and loop 3 ends. So yes, in the third loop, I feel like this is going to be very important to the story. We finally figure out what does transfer over from loop to loop, and what does transfer over is feelings. Now it is kind of confusing. I don't understand why memories would transfer over but not feelings, but they do. Now let's go on and continue. Loop 4 begins with Batman and Catwoman in steamy stacks. Batman decides to set a timer to know how much time they have left. Then they spot Harley Quinn in a fight with 2 other Fortnite characters. Batman tries to get her to help them by showing her a message, but she continues to fight. Batman realizes that the loop ends when the storm closes in on itself. He writes himself a message to remember, and loop 4 ends. So again, another very key information. So this is the first time that they've actually have met in with Harley Quinn since the first comic. And they also figure out that the loop ends when the storm fully closes in on itself, which means all those no circled games aren't actually canon, which is very interesting. Now let's go on and continue. Loop 5 starts with Batman doing his calculations about the storm. They run to the last safe ring, and Batman thinks Catwoman doesn't understand why they are there. To his surprise, she does, and places his GPS at the exact center. After writing himself a note to remember to check on it, loop 5 ends. So now this loop, in my personal opinion, I think was more to test his hypothesis. So again, very interesting. Batman is trying to figure out what the entirety of the loop means. Loop 6 begins with them in a fight. After the fight, they go where they placed the GPS last loop. They see that the GPS is still intact, proving that the ring has a epicenter. Then they wait until the ring closes on them and loop 6 ends. So pretty much this loop just proves what the last loop was trying to tease at. Loop 7 begins with Catwoman and Batman fighting some Fortnite characters. Batman has a hypothesis that the epicenter is only big enough for one, so he goes into the storm and stops Catwoman from following. In the storm, he sees a shimmer around Catwoman. Before the loop ends, he writes on his wrist, 1 left, and loop 7 ends. So this is going to be another very interesting key bit of information that maybe that the person who wins the match actually escapes the loop, which could be very interesting. Now let's go on and continue on. Loop 8 begins in a basement. Batman is arguing who should be the last one left. Catwoman strikes him for fun, and Batman decides that they need a break, and that's where Loop 8 ends. My personal opinion, another one of those chapters I feel like could have just been completely ditched out. I feel like they could have easily added this into the next one, but hey, it's still a very fun comic to read. Now let's go and continue. Loop 9 starts at the end of a match. Batman and Catwoman go to the last ring, and Catwoman is about to stab Batman, but he stops her. They kiss, and Catwoman stabs Batman, and Loop 9 ends. So I'm going to assume that Catwoman wanted to find out what happens if Batman's hypothesis is correct. So she stabs him to see if his hypothesis is correct. So it's very interesting how Catwoman actually does know about Batman, and it's very interesting. Okay, now here's the last one. Loop 10 starts just like the first loop, but Batman knows that he has to remember something while Ruckus attacks him. And yeah, that's pretty much the entire story of the second comic. So make sure you subscribe, leave a like, and turn on the notification bell for daily content, and enter into my giveaway if you do not already have comic issue 1. And I will see you in the next one. Goodbye!